Salvete omnes. Today is an exciting day because today, after 8 lessons in Henle, we are going to start verbs. Okay, I love verbs, and so much depends on verbs. And so I love to be able to figure out all sorts of things about verbs, and that's what I want you to do too. It's not enough just to know what the verb means, but the verb is going to tell us all kinds of things, okay? So first of all, let's just talk about what verb families are called. Noun families are called declensions, and verb families are called conjugations, okay? And there are 4 conjugations, okay? Now, like nouns, we could always tell what declension a noun belonged to by the genitive singular. Verbs are also going to have a similar way for us to be able to know what conjugation it belongs to. So when you get verbs in your vocab, they're going to come in forms called principal parts. Now, most verbs have 4 principal parts, and I just want to start this whole verb introduction by talking about the principal parts. So lesson 9 in Henle is just going to talk about the first conjugation. So I'm going to try to keep myself to only talking about that right now. I don't promise I'm going to do that, but I'm going to try. Okay, so here we go. Here is our model verb for the first conjugation. It's laudo. Okay? Now in the vocab, it's going to say laudo 1. Okay? That means laudo is a first conjugation verb. Okay? Now, they probably should have written it out instead of right away just saying laudo 1, because this 1 really means this. Laudo, laudare, that has a macron on it, laudavi, okay, and laudatus. So those are the 4 principal parts for first conjugation. Now let me just tell you a little bit about what they mean, okay? So this is the first person singular of the present tense, okay? And it's kind of your dictionary entry, okay? But that's all it's good for. That is only good for first person singular present tense, okay? Now this very special, we call this the second principal part. It has a lot of good uses, okay? First of all, it's our infinitive. So if you were to translate it, it means to praise. This means I praise, this means to praise, okay? So that's the first thing. Also, let me get a different color. This ARE right here with the macron A tells us that this is a first conjugation verb, okay? That's how we know what family verbs belong to, by that second principal part. So all verbs whose second principal part end in ARE are first conjugation, okay? Another really useful thing about this second principal part is it gives us the stem for the present system, okay? And we'll go a bit into all our tenses in a little while. Just so you know, it gives us our stem. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can find the stem, but this is how we're going to find it for first conjugation. We are going to go to the second principal part and remove the RE, and we're left with a stem of lauda, okay? And this is called our stem vowel. So in first conjugation, our stem vowel is an A. So you're going to see that in almost every place, okay? Except for, look at this one. Rule breaker right there. Okay, this third principal part is our first person singular perfect tense, okay? I praised, okay? So that's what that's good for. And we'll talk about how we find our stem for that later, okay? But just know that that gives us our perfect stem for our perfect system. And then this fourth principal part is called our perfect passive participle. Okay, we'll get to that in lesson 17. Okay, so we get 4 principal parts. Now, you remember when I first wrote this, I said, oh, in the vocab right now, they're giving us Laudo 1. Okay, because first conjugation is very regular. Okay, it has regular endings. And therefore, we can say that o, are, abi, atus would be our regular first conjugation principal part endings. Okay, so that's why they do this. So for instance, if they say paro 1, okay, paro 1, we know the 4 principal parts are paro, parare, paravi, paratus. Okay, so that's why they do that. So just remember, o, are, avi, atus are your regular first conjugation principal part endings. Okay, so now what are we going to do with that? Okay, so we have all sorts of characteristics in verbs. Okay, verbs are going to have person, number, tense, voice, and mood. Okay, now, and they belong in a conjugation. Okay, so really there's like 6 characteristics when you have the conjugation, person, number, tense, voice, and mood. So what we're going to talk right now about is person, number, and tense. Okay, we'll get to voice and mood a little bit later, and I want to kind of keep it simple. So if we have person, that means, I'm going to just show you, this is kind of a bit of an English lesson, okay? So I'm going to make us a little chart here. Now, nouns had case endings and verbs have personal endings because nouns had cases here and verbs have first person, second person, and third person, okay? This is I for the singular, or we for the plural. Okay, second person would be you for the singular, or you all for the plural. And third person would be he, she, or it for the singular, or they for the plural. Okay, so that has to do with person and then number, singular or plural. Okay, we had number with nouns also. Okay, so those are the personal pronouns that are going to go with that person and number. Okay, so now verbs have tense. Okay, and tense is a way of referring to time. Okay, so in Latin we're going to deal with 6 tenses. Okay, and there's going to be 3 in the present system, present, imperfect, and future. Then there's going to be 3 in the perfect system, perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect. Okay, right now we're just going to talk about the present system. Okay, so to get the stem for the present system, okay, the stem for the present system, you're going to go to the second principal part and drop off that RE. And you can see your stem is lauda, okay? So we always take this first one, laudo, when we're doing present tense, and we're just going to stick it right here, okay? That's the best way to do it, okay? Always take this one and stick it right there. Then go and get your stem from the second principal part and write it down. So lauda, 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 and lauda. Okay? So there's your first person singular and 5 stems. Now remember, I told you that verbs have personal endings. And in the present tense, the personal endings are ost, mustis, nt. Okay, you want to say it with me? ost, mustis, nt. So I'm going to go ahead and put those down here. O is there, S-T, mus, tis, and then N-T, okay? So we could say laudo, laudas, laudat, laudamus, laudatis, laudant. And there you have the present tense of our modal verb. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to translate the present tense, because there's actually 3 ways to translate the present tense. Okay, there's the simple present, there's the progressive present, and there is the emphatic present. Okay, so I'm going to write these down just to kind of try, I'm going to try to sneak them in there. I don't know if I'm going to get them. So the simple present would be I praise. Remember, this O means I. Okay, that means I. I praise would be the simple present. The progressive would be I am praising, still present tense, just a different way to express it. And then I like to stomp my feet. I do praise. Okay, that's the emphatic present. I do praise. So there are the 3 ways to write out the present tense. I praise, I am praising, I do praise. Okay, we do the same thing with the second person. You praise, you are praising, and you do praise. And we can go and do that. I'm not going to write them all out for time. He, she, it praises. He, she, it is praising. He, she, it does praise. We praise, we are praising, we do praise. Y'all praise, y'all are praising, you do praise. And they praise, they are praising, they do praise. Okay? So you can take, I'm going to erase this really fast. You can take any first conjugation verb and do that the same way. So let's just pick one. Okay? Let's pick voco. Okay? We have voco, I think. Voco, and it's going to say voco 1, but remember that means voco, vocare, vocavi, and vocatus. Okay, I'm going to put this one right here, voco. I wish I had a better black. Let me see if I can find a better black marker. I don't know. This one, maybe this one over here. Okay, voco. Then I have a stem, voca, voca. Okay, there's my stem, V-O-C-A. And then I'm going to put my personal endings. This one's already done. O, S, T, mus, tis, and then N-T. So this time, I'm not going to write all 3 ways out. I'm going to switch them up, though, so I get practice with all of them. So I could say, I am calling, you do call, he calls, we call, you are calling, they do call. So you want to know all 3 ways to translate the present tense, okay? So when it asks you for the principal parts, you're going to do this. O, are, avi, atus. When it asks you to conjugate in the present tense, this is what it's asking for, okay? Voco, vocas, vocat, vocamus, vocatus, vocant. So remember, principal parts, conjugating in the present tense. Okay, so as you go on in this lesson, okay, you're going to get 2 more tenses in the present system. And those 2 tenses are the imperfect, which is actually a way to say not perfect, not completed, okay? And the future tenses, they use the same stem. So I'm going to talk about that right now in this video, okay? So the imperfect tense, okay, write that up here, is going to be characterized in English by the English helping verbs was or were. Okay, that's really important. It's an ongoing past tense. Okay, it's not completed, was or were. So to form it in Latin, okay, we're going to use, remember I told you the same stem. Can barely see it, my light. Let me go try to put on some more light, see if it will help. Hopefully that will help. It still has a glare. I don't know what to do. I will. Okay, so we're going to use that same stem, V-O-C-A, voca, voca, voca. And remember, we're doing the imperfect tense. So in the imperfect tense, we have what's called a tense sign, okay? And the tense sign for the imperfect tense is B-A, okay? Ba, ba, voca ba, voca ba. Okay, that's going to get you this was or were. And if you notice, B-A, there's an A there, and was also has an A. So you can kind of make the connection there. And then we're going to put our personal endings on it. Okay, now this one instead of an O is an M, but the rest are all the same. Okay, M, S, T, mus, tis, and MT. So now you have voca bomb, voca boss, voca bot, voca bomus, voca botus, vocabont. Okay, and let's translate it using was or were. Okay, so remember, first person is I was calling. You were calling. He, she, it, was, he was. See, sometimes you put all three and it gets a little confusing, but he was calling. Okay, remember, now we'll go to the plural. We were calling. You all were calling. And they were calling. Okay, so there you have the imperfect tense formed on the same present stem with the tense sign of BA and the personal endings. Okay, let's do the future tense. Okay, let's see. And this is going to be very similar how we form it. Okay, I'm going to get rid of vocal and go back to laudo. Okay, so, hey, what are my four principal parts of laudo? Say them to yourself. Okay, laudo, laudare, laudavi, laudatus. Okay, so to get my stem, because I'm still in the present system, three tenses in the present system are present, imperfect, future. I'm going to go drop the RE, and I have lauda, 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 and lauda. Now remember, we are doing the future tense. And the English helping verb we're going to use for the future tense is, of course, will. And our tense sign, okay, because we need a tense sign, a way to know we have future tense, is this time BI, with a couple of exceptions, okay? But BI. And the nice thing about this is BI, and then will, the word will has an I in it. So you can kind of remember, okay, if my tense sign is BI, I have will. It's a future tense, okay? So I'm going to put the BIs where they go, okay? And then I'm going to put the exceptions, the two that are different with red. This is going to be laudabo, and this one is going to be laudabunt, okay? Do you see that? B-U-N-T, okay? Laudabo, laudabis, laudabit, laudabimus, laudabitis, laudabunt, okay? And let's translate these. That's the last thing we'll do. I will praise. Now your book, your grammar book, okay, will say shall for the first person, singular, plural, but you are welcome to just use will all the time. I think in English, we just use will. We hardly ever say, I shall go to the store today. Okay, I will go to the store today. So feel free to just use that will. You will praise. He, she, it will praise. We will praise. You all will praise. And they will praise. Okay? So now you are set to do lesson 9 through to the questions. Okay? If you have any questions, come back and ask me. Okay? There's lots of different translation things here. And make sure you learn all your vocab. That's so important. If you don't learn all your vocab, you have to keep looking up the words in the back of the book, and that makes Latin go so slowly. Okay, we'll come back in our next video and work on questions. All right, valete discipuli.